2 days. We're 2 days out. By this point, on Thursday, we'll be probably sometime in the third quarter, kicking Ole Miss's ass. Because that's what the Miami Hurricanes are going to do on Thursday in the Fiesta Bowl. That's what's going to happen. Speak it into existence because that is what it will be. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been waiting for this. This is my preview and prediction for the Fiesta Bowl between the Miami Hurricanes and the Ole Miss Rebels. Let's talk about it. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Hurricanes Unfiltered, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I am your host, Rudy Rodriguez Showman. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell, leave your comments. Shout out to the sponsor of the show, Natalie Lopez, attorney at law when life hits hard. The law firm of Natalie Lopez hits back harder. She practices in the areas of criminal defense and family law. You can reach her at 954 888-8833. That's 954-888-8833. And on Instagram at nat.guilty. She will fight for you. She's based out of Fort Lauderdale, covers the entire state of Florida. Give her a call today. Appreciate Natalie for your continued support of our show. Let's jump in on this bad boy right here because I have watched enough of Mississippi. I have watched enough of the Ole Miss Rebels. I've heard enough about how Trinidad Chambliss is the second coming of Michael Vick. Oh my God, can we stop for a moment and take a freaking breath? He's a good player. And up until, what was it, Thursday of last week, people thought his team was going to lose to Georgia. Nobody picked them to beat Georgia. The team played Georgia in the regular season and blew it in the fourth quarter. Hell, they blew it again in this fourth quarter. They did. If you watch, they blew that game in the fourth quarter again. If it wasn't for some dumb stuff by Georgia, Georgia's probably playing Miami on Thursday. Kirby Smart wasn't so smart going for it in a three-point game from his own 25-yard line. Not the brightest decision that he made. Ole Miss is good. I take nothing from them, but I have watched this team play. This team is good. That's great. Miami's defense is elite. Miami's offensive line, elite. Carson Beck is excellent. He does what he needs to do to win. These guys will put their helmets, their shoulders, their legs, their arms, their bodies, their lives to win. Have you not been watching these guys play? No one hits with the ferocity, the viciousness, the violence for which this defense hits with. Let's talk about this game, though. I finished watching the Ole Miss Oklahoma game because I thought that was the best game to watch because that's a defense that people thought was a top shelf defense. Oklahoma had a good defense. They did. I watched that game. I saw a dumb defense. I saw a terrible game plan. I saw John Mateer offensively unable to complete basic passes. Not because Ole Miss did something special on defense, but because he can't throw the ball. I mean, the amount of missed wide open guys he had throughout that game was embarrassing. But I can tell you what I saw in that game over and over and over again. First, the first half of the game was on a wet field. That impacted Oklahoma's defense from getting off the ball. That's one. Oklahoma blitzes constantly. And they blitz in unnecessary situations. They didn't have a spy who spied Trinidad Chambliss well enough. They did not. I watched it. It's very clear. They ran the ball pretty well in the first half, actually. Kawan Lacey got off in the first half. Second half, Kawan Lacey did absolutely nothing against Oklahoma. Nothing. And in fact, Oklahoma led 26-25 in the fourth quarter. Came back from 26-13, I believe it was. Oklahoma had a safety against them early in the first half. Just brutal, man. Oklahoma, that game, they should have won that game. I'm being real. They should have won that game. Trinidad Chambliss had a struggle. He struggled in that third quarter of that game against Oklahoma. And yeah, he was running a lot. He ran a lot. He was running a lot. And they put him under constant pressure. But they didn't do it in a smart way. They have to blitz. They had to blitz to get near him. They blitzed and blitzed and blitzed and blitzed. And when they went zone, they didn't seem to know what the hell to do. They didn't seem to know what the hell to do. Early in that game, Ole Miss, short passes. They worked. And I can assure you that we're going to see a lot of short passes. So what does that mean for the Miami Hurricanes defense? Miami Hurricanes defense needs to be playing up. DBs need to be moving up. Corners have to jam up more. They can't be playing 8 yards off the ball. They got to be playing much closer. Otherwise, they will throw those short passes. And they were effective with that short passing game. And every time he had to drop back to throw and he took a more than a 3-step drop, he was under pressure. He was under pressure. He threw the ball away a lot. He didn't make Trinidad Chambliss does not make dumb mistakes from what I saw in the multiple games that I watched. He only has 3 interceptions this year, but he doesn't make like really dumb mistakes. Although against Oklahoma, that was one of his worst. I think it was his second worst completion percentage game. Why? Because he was under pressure the entire game. Under pressure the entire game. But at the same time, he's throwing the ball out of bounds constantly. He escaped at times. He had some nice runs at times, but I thought Brett Venables had a terrible, terrible game plan defensively. And he picked the wrong times to blitz. I mean, there were 3rd and longs that they gave up. There were a constant 3rd and longs that they gave up in that game because they made bad decisions defensively. Oklahoma really could have won that game. Hell, I think they should have won that game. That was Mississippi good? Yeah, I guess they were good. They were good enough. They were good enough. You know where Ole Miss got exposed? They give up chunks. Defensively, they give up chunks. They get chunked. They get chunked. We all saw Oklahoma's offense this year. Oklahoma's offense was terrible. So for everyone talking about the Miami Hurricanes offense and saying, well, Miami Hurricanes offense, XYZ, bruh. Oklahoma couldn't score on anybody. Oklahoma could not score on anybody, people. And they had 26 points against Ole Miss. And they had 2 massive chunk plays that both went for touchdowns. They chunked them. When they scored, they chunked them. And I'm telling you right now, they had every opportunity to win that game. But John Mateer sucks. I'm just keeping it real. John Mateer sucks. He can't make a basic throw. And they get Ole Miss getting all kinds of credit. This is what Oklahoma did offensively this year. Just so you know. 35 against Illinois State, 35. 24 Michigan, 42 Temple, 24 Auburn, 44 Kent State, 6 points against Texas, 26 South Carolina, 26 Ole Miss, 33 Tennessee, 23 Alabama, 17 Missouri, 17 LSU, 24 Alabama. They didn't score more than 35 points in any game against a real opponent all season. Not one. And they scored 26 points on Ole Miss. There's holes all over that defense. God, there's holes on that defense. There's holes. So those people that think that Miami can't beat Ole Miss in a shootout, please. Let's dig deeper here. They run tempo. They push pace. They ran a lot more plays than Oklahoma did in that game. A lot more. I also watched them play LSU. I watched them. The Ole Miss. I also watched them play Florida. I watched them against Georgia. I've watched them against Tulane. I've watched a bunch of their games. But Oklahoma was the one LSU, but Oklahoma was the one to really, really look at because that's the one that puts pressure on the quarterback. And at the time that they played him, Oklahoma was number 1 in the country in TFLs and sacks. But what you saw from Oklahoma was a nonstop blitz. It was a blitz attack. Miami doesn't have to blitz. Miami has a front 4 that gets pressure without the blitz. And if you can get pressure without blitzing and you keep your lane integrity, well, Trinidad Chambliss doesn't have nowhere to go. One thing you see in film from Trinidad Chambliss, he rolls right. He rolls right constantly. Constantly rolling right. When he rolls left, he runs. They run some gimmicky type plays where they line up Kawan Lacey side by side with Chambliss, and they snap it to Lacey. Now they ran some gimmicky shit with Austin Simmons as well, but Austin Simmons has declared for the portal. So hell, he already signed with Missouri. So I doubt he'll even be with the team. I presume he's not even with the team anymore. So they won't be putting in those types of gimmicky plays where they put Austin Simmons in, and, to take a snap near the goal line, which I really didn't understand the purpose of that. It didn't make a lot of sense. It was a bad decision in my opinion. They did it about 4 times against Oklahoma. But I'm telling you right now, man, if you maintain lane integrity and and the tackles stay in and collapse the pocket, Trinidad Chambliss is going to be in a world of hurt. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you that he's not going to complete passes. The dude is going to complete passes. I would be surprised if he doesn't throw for at least 250 on Miami. But what he can't do is throw for 400. Can't throw for 400. 250. Somewhere between 250 and 300, livable. Not a huge deal. Julian Sain threw for over 250 against Miami. Byron Brown threw for over 250 against Miami. Miami won that game 49-12. The tempo offense is effective in situations. Against defenses like this, like Miami's, it can be catastrophic for you if it doesn't work. And here's what I'm talking about. Miami gets the ball, marches the damn ball down the field, 10 plays, 12 plays, 80 yards, touchdown, 7-0. You go 3 and out, and Miami gets the ball right back, your defense is already gassed. So what Ole Miss did against Oklahoma, where they had the ball for like 75 plays or something like that, it was some ridiculous number, honestly. Like that, the number on plays in this game was ridiculous. It was crazy. Let me pull up the exact numbers on the plays. They ran 46 plus, they ran 87 plays to 60. I mean, Oklahoma's defense was on the field the entire game because of the constant mistakes they made on third down, the constant blitzing that they didn't need to do. OU had 359 yards of offense against Ole Miss, and OU can't move the ball. You can't move the ball. They ran the ball for 136. 65 came on one run. But Ole Miss had the ball for almost 36 minutes. Miami doesn't play that way, bro. Miami doesn't play that way. They had a 100-yard rusher against Ole Miss. They had Sategna, who was the best receiver for Oklahoma, had 131. He had 120 at halftime. So look at our receivers. Look at the type of things that Malachi Tony can do, that CJ Daniels can do, that Keelan Murray can do. These dudes are going to have games. These dudes are gonna go off. If Satenga can do that stuff, our boys can do that stuff and probably more, because he's their only offensive weapon on the outside for Oklahoma. And like I said, Mateer sucks. I mean, dude was 17-31 in that game. I'll tell you right now, he missed on guys that were so wide open. It was crazy. I mean, wide open. And I'm not talking 50 yards on. I'm talking about 15 yards, 20 yards off by a mile. This is a guy who completed a 62.2%. I know he had a hand injury and stuff like that, but I don't care. If you can't throw the ball, don't play. Don't play. Sit your ass on the bench. So I have to assume that you're on the field, you can throw the football. I have to assume that. I got to assume that. So, and yet he still managed to do things against his Ole Miss defense. Carson Beck doesn't have a fucking field day. Doesn't have a field day. But you run that tempo offense. Run it. Run the tempo. Bring that tempo. Bring it. Miami's key is discipline. Miami plays discipline defensively. Miami will blow the doors off this game. They don't play discipline defense, then they might have some trouble. But why would we expect anything different right now at this point? I'm not sitting here telling you that Ole Miss isn't going to have some success. Of course they're going to have some success. Absolutely. They're a really good team. But they just won the biggest game of their lives against Georgia, a game that no one thought they could win. Here's the reality. Miami, people weren't so sure about Miami losing to Ohio State, no matter what they say publicly, because they didn't want to look silly if they were wrong. But a lot of people believed Miami would beat Ohio State. A lot of people believed it, beyond Miami Hurricanes fans. Beyond the Hurricanes fans, a lot of people believed that Miami was going to win that game. Nobody believed Ole Miss was going to beat Georgia. Heck, I didn't believe they beat Georgia. I thought they'd keep it close. I thought they'd be in the game. I thought they'd blow it, because that's what they do. That's what they do. They're missing half their offensive coaching staff. That's some distraction. I don't care what Pete Golding says. That's a distraction. They flew out to Arizona today, Tuesday, 2 days before the game. Miami was there yesterday. Why were you waiting to Tuesday to fly out to Arizona? That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. You're playing in the biggest game of your lives. Oh, maybe it's because your coaches were on vacation, not coaching the team, and though they had to get another day in the office so they could actually prepare a game plan. Might that be the case? Because it makes no sense that you show up 2 days before with all the things that have to happen the day before the game, days before the game with the media and so forth, because they're doing media sessions, etc. And you still have to get your practice time in. They're a good team. Trinidad Chambliss, he has tendencies. He goes to the right all the time. He doesn't go left. He goes right. He will do. He will do occasionally. He will do the fake handoff and run the ball right in the middle. You don't typically see him run around the edge. He runs more towards the runs more up the middle. People that say that he's not a running quarterback. Well, I don't know what you're talking about, because he actually ran the ball more than Marcel Reed did and played a game less than Marcel Reed. He ran for more carries, more yards, over 500 yards rushing. So for anyone that says he's not a running quarterback, he absolutely is a running quarterback. There's not a question about it. And everyone said that Marcel Reed would be the difference against the Miami Hurricanes. Let me also tell you this. Yeah, Trinidad Chambliss throws some nice balls. Absolutely. So does Marcel Reed. 66% completion percentage. I mean, that's marginally better than Marcel Reed. Marginally better, not a lot better. Reed was at 62%. And actually, Reed completed 64% of his passes against Miami. Another fact. If you keep Trinidad Chambliss in that 62 to 66% completion percentage area, I feel fine. I feel good. Julian Saint just had the worst game of his season against Miami. 55% completion percentage. A guy that completed 78% of his passes. I get the list of people saying that how accurate Trinidad Chambliss is. Okay, show me when you're running for your life. Show me when Keontae Scott's coming for your head. Show me when Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesdar are meeting at the quarterback. Show me this. Because I can tell you the difference between the first half and the second half to me of that Oklahoma Ole Miss game, because I keep using that as the barometer, because that is a game that you have a strong defense. Because he didn't play a strong defense besides that. Georgia's defense ain't that good. We could kill that noise right now. Georgia's defense is not that good. It's definitely nowhere near the levels of the Miami Hurricanes. Defensive line's not even close. Offensive line, not even close. But we're talking about defense to offense. Miami's defense is far superior to Georgia's defense. Far superior. So when you sit here and tell me, oh, they wore them out, you know what? Cool. You know what Miami's going to do? They're going to bring other guys in the game, because Miami had to deal with that tempo offense. And I heard someone say, I forgot where I heard it, but someone saying Miami hasn't faced a tempo offense except for SMU. Are you kidding? That's all USF runs. South Florida, for those of you who don't know. South Florida ran tempo. They averaged almost 500 yards a game. They were third in the country in yards, like fourth in the country or fifth in the country in points, over 40 points per game. They scored 12 points against Miami. 12. They had under 300 yards against Miami. They averaged close to 500 yards. And I know people say, well, South Florida's not. Spare me. At the time, South Florida's a good team, bro. South Florida's a solid-ass team. And against the Miami Hurricanes, they had 332 yards. They averaged 488. And they had 15 first downs. And Miami had the ball for 36 minutes to 24 minutes. And Miami had 576 yards of offense against South Florida. And Carson Beck threw for 340. And Mark Fletcher ran for 120. And the Canes ran for over 200 yards. And now that by committing 9 penalties. Miami is a much cleaner team now. Miami is playing clean ball now. They're not turning the ball over like that. I'm sorry, turn it over. I mean, they're not committing penalties like that. Carson Beck's thrown 1 pick in the last 6 games. He actually threw 2 picks against South Florida. Those probably were 2 of his worst throws of the season, actually. I went to that game. I was at all their games, home games. I was at all the home games. But he still pieced them for 340. Miami won 49-12. Tempo can get you blown out real fast if tempo doesn't work. It can get you blown out real fast. And Byron Brown is a steroids level version of Trinidad Chambliss. He's not as fast as Chambliss, but the dude is a fucking Mack truck. He's 6'3", 235. He rushed for over 1,000 yards this year for South Florida. Over 1,000. Byron Brown rushed for 1,008 yards. You know how many yards he rushed for against the Miami Hurricanes? 2 yards. 13 carries, 2 yards. I don't want to hear about how the mobile quarterback's going to beat the Miami Hurricanes with his legs. If Trinidad Chambliss beats Miami, it's going to be because he throws for over 400 and has the absolute greatest game of his life. And I'm not banking on that happening. And I am not banking on that happening. Miami played SMU. People will bring up SMU. Great. You know what? I'll give you the SMU example. Yes, they threw for 365. They had -2 yards at halftime at the end of the regulation rushing. And Miami should have won that game in regulation. They gave it away. Miami gave that game away. That wasn't a game that SMU was going to win. Unless Miami did the things that made it easy for SMU to win. Like, I don't know, commit dumb penalties, drop passes that turn into picks. I mean, we can go back and look at that game too, because people like to ask, well, you lost to SMU, you lost to this. You realize that SMU went 9-4? They weren't a bad football team, people. They went 9-4. And they beat the 17th ranked Arizona Wildcats in the damn bowl game they played in. But let's take a look at this one right here. In that game, Miami committed 12 penalties for 96 yards. Miami hasn't committed 12 penalties over the last 4 games. Combined against Pitt, Miami committed 5. Against Ohio State, Miami committed 0. Against Texas A&M, Miami committed 4. So that's 9. And against the game before that, Virginia Tech, so Miami committed that game. Okay, that was a bad one. So the last 3, so it took 4 games for Miami to have committed as many penalties as they committed against SMU. Last 3 games, they got 9 total penalties. Against SMU, they had 12. You play clean football. You don't commit dumb false starts. You don't commit dumb offsides penalties. And you play clean in the penalty department. You're golden against a team like this. Because if you play in front of the chains and you don't fall behind the sticks and you run the football, well, guess what you're going to do? You're going to have them on their heels the entire game. That's what's going to happen. And this is not me being egotistical. This is a matchup. This is a matchup challenge. The team that imposes their will with their matchup is going to win. Period. It could be Ole Miss. It could be. But I don't think it will be. I don't think it will be. When you look at when you look at when you look over the course of the year, the teams that Ole Miss played, after they beat Oklahoma, when I was listening to that broadcast of that game, broadcaster, I think it was Greg McElroy, said, if they win this game, they're not losing another one because their schedule is soft the rest of the way. They got their only 2 tough games out of the way. Georgia and Oklahoma back-to-back. After that was South Carolina, Citadel, Florida, Mississippi State. And Florida gave them all kinds of trouble. Florida was leading them and was winning 24-20 in the 4th quarter against them. Please. I go back to this key that I said in my live last night. If you were there, I appreciate you. The key to this game is Kawan Lacey. You stop the run, you win this game. End of story. You stop the run, you win this game. Kawan Lacey had like 90 yards at halftime against Oklahoma. That's where they won the game against Oklahoma. Yeah, they came back and won in the 4th quarter, but they won that game in the first half behind Kawan Lacey running that football. Miami handles the run the way they handle the run pretty much against anybody except for Isaac Brown this year. Miami's golden because you're going to force Trinidad Chambliss to beat you with his arm. Now, again, they will throw that short pass because when he dropped back to throw it when he dropped back against Oklahoma for more than a 3-step drop, he was under pressure, under duress. He was running. He was running. He was absolutely running in that game. And Lacey finished with 78 yards rushing, but he had at halftime, I mean, his second half, I think it was mostly a lot of negative. Trinidad Chambliss in that game had 12 carries for 53 yards against Oklahoma. Remember, they only sacked him once. He was under pressure, but they only sacked him once. So, yeah, man. Ole Miss, offensive line, Oklahoma beat them up in the second half. I mean, real talk. Oklahoma beat them up in the second half. Oklahoma won the second half of that game. They did. They beat them up in the second half. Oklahoma ran the ball. Oklahoma was chunking them up the middle. They should have run the ball more, honestly. They should have run the ball more. They relied on Mateer throwing the ball way too much. He can't throw. Ole Miss is a couple of John Mateer completions from losing that. Ole Miss is a couple of John Mateer completions from not even being in the playoffs. Because most people don't even view Ole Miss as one of the top 2 teams in the SEC. Hell, maybe not one of the top 3 teams in the SEC, depending on who you talk to. That's an opinion, but they're here. So guess what? They're the best team in the SEC. And Mario Cristobal told everybody it's the best team we were going to face all season until the next game. And he'll say the same goddamn thing. He'll say the same thing, whether it's Indiana or Oregon. He'll say the same damn thing in the national championship. But Miami's on a mission, man. Miami's on a mission. The mission is to get back to Hard Rock Stadium and host a national championship game. And have the city of Miami explode. These guys are different. And I am not dogging out Ole Miss. I don't see Harrison Wallace and Dejon Stribling going for double-digit catches and 300 yards. Those dudes had almost 300 yards receiving between the 2 of them against Georgia. These guys, I'm going to be real. They had 57 catches and 50 catches, the 2 of them. Stribling finished with 50 catches for 734, 14.7. And Harrison Wallace had 57 catches for 894. Now, they also have some other receivers that make a few catches here and there. But they have another receiver, Caden Lee, who had 39 grabs. Tight end is the guy that you have to look out for as well, Daquan Wright. He's had 36 catches himself. He's again around the goal line. He's solid. He's a playmaker for them around the goal line. But I'll tell you this, man. These guys remind me of Texas A&M. I mean, just being real. They remind me of A&M. I don't see a lot of differences. Their receivers, go look at the numbers of freaking Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver. Like every week, we have faced a pair of receivers who were supposed to kick our ass, right? Every week. Casey Concepcion, oh my God, all-purpose All-American, blase, does all this shit. And you know what the first thing happened? We nailed his ass on a goddamn punt and knocked his mental shit out of the game. He was almost invisible in this game. He had 4 catches against Miami. He didn't return another punt after we knocked his head off in the first half of that game. It fucked him up. That's how Miami hits. They hit you to fuck you up. Bluntly. So what did Miami do? Miami made a point. We're going to erase Casey Concepcion. Mario Craver, you have at it. I think he had 7 catches for 98 yards or something like that. One of those plays was that 55, 60-yard reception. Other than that play, he was 6 for like 30. But I heard another report. I heard an Ole Miss guy say, Miami is not, I've heard an Ole Miss podcaster say, Miami has not faced an array of talent like this all year. Are you serious, bro? Who we just played last week? Who did Miami just play on Wednesday, December 31st? You telling me that Harrison Wallace, Dejon Stribling, and Winston Watkins and Caden Lee are better than Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate? Carnell Tate just declared for the NFL draft. He's going to be a top 10 pick. Jeremiah Smith next year will be the number 1 pick in the draft. He'll be the number 1 pick in the draft. There's no way that he's not taking number 1 overall. No way. We played him last week. And you know what we did to Carnell Tate? We lit his ass up so much that he didn't want to touch the ball in the 3rd and 4th quarter. He was afraid of it because he knew he was about to get lit up again. These things happened, and you're telling me the array of talent? Julian Sands, the number 1 completion guy in the country, and he played his worst game of the year against the Hurricanes, completion percentage-wise. Yeah, he had yards because he had to chuck it all over the field at a certain point because they couldn't establish a run except for about the 3rd quarter. They couldn't run the ball very much. Ohio State, 45 yards rushing the whole game? Bro, yes, are there things that Miami will have to do to contain Trinidad Chambliss? Yes. Is he going to get off on some situations? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's up to the Miami Hurricanes to remind him that he was a Division II quarterback last year. I don't care if you're a Division II national champion. It's up to the Miami Hurricanes to remind that dude that he was a Division II QB last year and send him back to the freaking Division II land of QBs. Marcel Reed was supposed to kill us with his legs. Okay, and now all of a sudden Trinidad Chambliss is better than Marcel Reed according to people. The same people that said Marcel Reed was a Heisman candidate. Make up your minds, man. I don't care that Marcel Reed throws. I'm not Marcel Reed. Trinidad Chambliss has thrown for over 300 yards 8 or 9 times. I don't care. You want to know why I don't care? Because that's how their offense works. Of course, he's gonna throw for over 300. Do you remember Cam Ward last year? Do y'all remember Cam Ward last year? Did people forget that guy's name? Did people forget what Cam Ward? I mean, I feel like I gotta give people a reminder. Miami had a guy who played quarterback last season named Cam Ward. Finished with 4,313 yards passing, 2nd in the country behind only Kyle McCord. He played half of the bowl game. He finished the year completing 60. I'm sorry. This is his fucking NFL profile. Oops. Why they got his NFL profile here? That's weird. Cam Ward last year completed 67.2% of his passes. And remember what Cam Ward did. Cam Ward wasn't throwing short dink and dunks. Cam Ward was chucking the ball down the field. 39 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 10.52 yards per average yards per attempt, 9.5 yards per attempt, 14.1 yards per completion, 172.2 QB rating, first team All-American, 4,313 yards. That's what Cam Ward did last year. Cam Ward threw for 300 yards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games out of 13. Really, 10 games out of 12 because he only played half of the bowl game where he threw for 190 in the first half. And he threw for 348 against Georgia Tech, and he threw for 349 against Syracuse. And guess what? Miami lost those games because Miami's defense couldn't stop anybody. This guy was chunking people up all season. You think Trinidad Chambliss is better than Cam Ward? Come on, man. No, he's not. He's not. And guess what? We lost because our defense couldn't stop anybody. Guess what? Ole Miss's defense ain't that fucking good. 67th against the rush, 41st or 42nd overall. John Mateer had guys running free all game. He just can't throw the football. Carson Beck will complete those passes. For those people that have doubts about Carson Beck, dude's a smart damn player, bro. He is a smart ass player. I want to see something real fast before I leave y'all with this video and give you my prediction of the game. Miami Hurricanes with their horrendous defense last year. You can't make this up, man. Miami's horrendous defense last year. I just gotta put this out there. With their horrendous defense last year. And I keep repeating that on purpose for a reason. Miami's horrendous defense last year. Horrendous. Gave up on average less yards than Ole Miss does this year. Miami's horrendous defense last year gives up less yards than Ole Miss did this year. Points wise, we give up more points, but yards wise, we gave up less yards. Give up less yards. Passing, we give 214. They give up 194. Rushing, they give up 147, 146. We gave up 112. Miami's defense might have been better than Ole Miss's defense, as bad as it was. I hope that puts into perspective what Ole Miss's defense is. They played a lot of bums this year. They played a lot of bums, a lot of lower level teams. They got away with playing LSU when LSU was really bad. I know LSU was 4-0 when they played them. LSU stunk. LSU stunk at the time that they played. They couldn't score. They couldn't score when they played them. They played bums all year. I give Trinidad Chambliss all the credit in the world. I tip my cap to him. He's done an amazing job. He's a special type of player. You can see it. But dude, he ain't Michael Vick. He ain't Cam Ward. He's not Cam Ward. Like we need to put things into perspective. Miami's offense last year, 537.2. Jesus Christ. If we had the offense last year, we have this. If we had the offense last year, this year, no one would even be questioning us winning the national championship. 43.9 points per game. Jesus Lord, that's freaking crazy. That's nuts. It's nuts. But for people that think that Miami can't win a shootout against Ole Miss, I say you're wrong. But I don't think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see Miami bludgeon the fuck out of these guys like they bludgeon the fuck out of South Florida. And again, this is not a disrespect to Ole Miss. There's just levels to this thing. So you want to know what my prediction is for this game? I've given you all the keys. Shut down Kawan Lacey, game, you win the game. Unless Trinidad Chambliss throws for 400 plus, and then maybe you have a problem. But you handle that. Don't turn the ball over. Clean offense. Run the ball down their damn throats. Carson Beck picks them apart. Yes, you need to attack them deep as well, by the way. You need to attack them deep because they're very susceptible to downfield plays. They get themselves out of position. They're undisciplined defensively. They don't stay in their lanes. But here's my prediction. Miami 38, Ole Miss 17. That's it. Miami 38, Ole Miss 17. We will see you at the Hard Rock. But make sure you're here on Thursday for the live. I appreciate y'all. I thank y'all for y'all continued support of the channel. And I got some more content coming out for this game after the preview. But yeah, 38-17 Miami. Dog walking these motherfuckers. That's all I got. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, leave your comments. This is Hurricanes Unfiltered, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. Come on now.